Hi, it's Kylie Koo. Welcome to my studio and welcome to week 2 of Junk, Use It or Lose It. So I felt really fired up after doing those 2 little eco journals last week. I was really pleased with the way that they turned out and that's kind of spurred me on to do more. So this week I'm making another journal, but what I'm going to make this week is an accordion journal or concertina journal, one of those that opens out, and I'm making that from greetings cards. So as with the 2 journals last week, there's actually no sewing. The binding is quite different to normal binding in a journal, so hopefully very easy to make. So the materials today are obviously a stack of greetings cards, and I'm using the Christmas cards that I've had sitting around for at least a year, maybe 2 years. I'm using some masking tape, though you could also use duct tape or possibly washi tape. If it's washi, you might just also need some glue to glue the washi in place if it's not a particularly tacky one. Some scissors, and if you are going to paint your journal, although it doesn't need to be done at this stage, some paints, and again I'm just using my dregs, what's left in the containers. Some sanding paper because some of the cards are glossy, and obviously a paintbrush, and that's really about it. Now, Christmas cards, or greetings cards I should say, come in all shapes and sizes, and I thought that what I might do is just to use a variety of them, but in the end I decided that what I'd do would be to actually take those that are mainly kind of square and that are roughly the same size. They're not actually all the same size, but just kind of roughly the same size. So that's what I'm going with. And what I decided to do was to pick 2 that were more or less the same size, one for front and one for back, because obviously if you're gluing in or sticking in smaller ones or bigger ones, it might just mean that the journal couldn't stand up. So I want to put my 2 biggest ones either end. Now what I've done in advance is to actually start to paint out the sentiment. Some of these take quite a bit of paint, because there's the printed sentiment in there and obviously whatever anyone's written. So I've just taken those out to start with. When I was looking at doing this, I couldn't decide whether to line up the front edges, which would mean, for example, in this case, there would be a gap at the back, or the back, but I decided that, it wouldn't be as easy to bend it that way as it would be to do it this way. So that's the way I'm doing it, but I think you could also line the backs up. So all I've done, or all I'm doing, is I take 2 cards, I place them side by side, take my masking tape, can never find the end on these things. Measure roughly the length of the longest card. Now with all of these I'm gluing it in that kind of normal fashion. So what will happen is that actually the backs of the cards will be on that second side, on the inside. Excuse me. So now what I'm doing is just laying this the length of the card. Now I find it easier just to flip it over and flip this one over and back this one onto it. Now it's not quite the same size, so I'm just spacing it in the middle, although you could obviously have them all going along that bottom edge if you wanted to, and that would mean they could stand. And all I'm doing then is just snipping where there's a bit of excess and folding it over. Now, in sticking them together, you just want to make sure that you can actually do that so there's no overlap needed there. When you turn it this way, you can see that it's then possible just to do that concertina. And it's as simple as that. It's then just a case of gluing the next card on and the next and the next. So I'll do that and then I'll be back. So I'm now about to put on my last card. I've used 10 for this. You could use more, you could use less. And I'm just going to piece this in. I'm just checking that generally it's in line with the first card, which of course was one of the biggest as well. So once I'm happy with that, just going to do it this way. Sorry, be right back. Okay, back to it. Yeah, I've cut that. So that is basically it. Very simple, very straightforward, and hopefully that will actually stand up. Now, what I've not done at this stage is to put masking tape along this side. I can't decide if that's necessary or not, or if it would mean that it wouldn't fold quite as much, but I might come back perhaps when I'm decorating it to actually put a piece of masking tape on this side as well. So I've used 10 cards here. Now obviously they could all be decorated before you actually put them together. In fact, this might be a way of actually, if you wanted to save Christmas cards or other greetings cards, to kind of keep them in a little booklet like that. But what I've done so far is simply to block out the sentiments, as I said. On the reverse side, which of course can also be used, all I've done here with some of them is to start to put some colours down on these. Now, because some of them have glitter, it makes it that little bit more difficult. Some of them are glossy, which makes it a bit more difficult as well to put paint on. So what I do with the glossy ones is to actually take a piece of sandpaper and rub them down. And I then just find that paint or gesso, if you wanted to use gesso, first of all, actually adheres better to it. So that does get quite dusty, and I like to take either a damp cloth or a baby wipe and just pick up any of the dust, and it's quite amazing how much comes off it. So I wasn't so concerned about gesso in here because I'll be doing these as I kind of go along using the journal. But what I want to do, I want to end this video with a kind of nice cover. So I'm going to put some gesso on this and then start to decorate it. So I've put a couple of layers of gesso onto that, and I'm just going to let it dry, and then I'm going to start to decorate it. Again, I'll probably use mainly the paints, you know, the kind of dregs paints as I call them, where they're just little bits and pieces. But if I feel that I want a different colour, then yes, I'm going to go into my kind of normal paints. I'm not going to restrict myself that much. So what I'll maybe do is film myself doing a bit of the painting. I'm not doing anything terribly fancy. I'll put that in fast forward, and then I will come back and do the closure. So that was fun to do. One of the things I realised after making those little journals in week 1 was that actually I often make journals and then I don't go on to use them, which, you know, is silly because I do enjoy using them and I do enjoy making them. So if I make them, I should use them. So that's what I'm going to do from now on. So the final thing to do with this is to punch a hole. So I roughly can measure where centre. Now when I was watching back the video from week 1, I realised that I can see where the hole is with this because there's a hole in the bottom. So silly me. I was trying to do all manner of things to see where I was putting the hole. So I'm going to make it just a little bit further in. About ½ an inch on this one. I think that will be around about centre. And there we go. Now I'm just going to use some of this twine, raffia again, raffia rather than twine, just really as a temporary thing just now. I may put a more, a kind of sturdier closure on it at some point, but for the time being I just want to get something on it. So I shall use this, and all I'm going to do is pop it through here, and I am simply going to put a piece of masking tape on that to hold it in place. So that will be easy enough to come up if needs be. Scissors. But I can leave it in place if I decide otherwise. And then all I'm going to do is wrap it around, kind of like that, and tuck it in. So there we have it, my accordion greetings card journal with front page decorated already. Now, what do I like about this journal? Well, for one, it's obviously using up greetings cards that have been sitting about. 2, can open it up, can do single pages, a double page spread, could even do a longer spread, and it did strike me that this is the sort of thing that you could actually almost document week by week everything that you're doing, you know. So 26 cards, and you would have 26 cards, so you'd have 26 weeks on the front and then 26 weeks on the back. So plenty of scope there. Again, as with those other little journals, there's scope actually to add to this. So as more cards come in, or if you wanted, you know, more cards, you simply join more on till you get it to the size that you want it to. And again, this journal is of a size that it would make a really good kind of travel journal. So, what have I learned? Because I'm determined that I'm going to learn some things from all of this. So I think the main thing that I've learned is that really I should be using these sort of things almost right away. So if it's Christmas cards, then, you know, put aside the number that I need and make it within a few weeks of actually receiving them, rather than having them sitting around for a year, maybe even 2 years, and then suddenly, you know, in a couple of months' time there'll be another bundle sitting. So I think just keeping aside the number that I need, making them into a journal, and then putting the journal to the side. And if I discover that I've not used this, then why keep any at all? So this is really making me think about what it is that I need rather than what it is I want to keep. So yeah, so there we have it. So thanks for joining me for week 2. Can I just say a big thank you to everyone that commented on either the introduction or the week 1 video. I've had comments on YouTube and in other social media such as Facebook. Thanks for the ideas that people have given me about reusing the gift bags, and you know, a number of you have actually said no, go ahead and give them to other people. It's okay to recycle them in that way. So I might start doing that. I might start decorating some, and others I will use in other ways in my art. So most of them are certainly way too nice to simply put into the recycling bin. So that's it for week 2. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I do hope you'll join me for week 3, and obviously the other videos that I'm making in between. So thanks very much. Bye for now.